Welcome, dear hearts, and it is an absolute joy to be able to share my guest with you this week. He is Donny Amoris, and he is an artist and a visionary, but he's also what I would describe as a cosmic creator. He uses frequencies and light and energy, and he brings all of this through in his wonderful creations. He's also a cosmic shaman, and he assists and takes people on journeys into their own inner realms and also out into the cosmos and beyond. So it is with absolute joy that I introduce Donny Amoris today, and thank you so much, Donny, for joining us.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing your light with us and your space and your time. So
I
wanted to take you back to your childhood years, because it's in northern Germany, and it feels like it was a time that was very supportive for you, very nourishing. And one thing that drew my attention was that you were introduced to meditation really early on. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. I have 2 children myself, and they are very easily distracted. So I wanted to find out more about what you remember about that, if you had any experiences, and how naturally it felt for you as a child to start to do this practice.
Thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. And, I remember that going to nature was like my first meditation. At that time, I didn't seem like it was meditation, but I felt like going into the woods and walking around by myself as a young boy. I just felt so much peace and, relaxation versus what I felt when I was in school, which was a bit more chaotic and stressful, being a very sensitive child. So I feel that was my first kind of feeling or energy that I got in touch with concerning meditation. And then probably around 10 or 9, something like that, years old, my uncle introduced me to transcendental meditation. And I got my mantra and we started to meditate. And yeah, this was really something I was always looking forward to meditate together, because it was a little different than going to the woods by yourself. And so, yeah, that's, I guess, in terms of, maybe introducing meditation to children, I feel it's good to just see what resonates with them and have a kind of mentor, maybe not the parents, because parents are so close to their child, and so maybe it can be an uncle, an aunt, or a good friend, more of a mentor person. Yeah, I feel that's something definitely children would benefit from in these times. It's kind of crazy.
Yes, absolutely. How has your practice evolved over time? Do you feel like that was a wonderful foundation for you to start to get into that practice of going within?
Yes. How has it evolved? Well, I've been looking at a lot of things when I was growing up, because, some people know what they want to do very early on. Others are more like looking in all corners of their life. But what was really clear for me was, as long as I can remember, I wanted to do something to make the world a more beautiful place. And so I felt really called to working with people, helping people. And I also felt really called to using art. And my first exploration in that direction was to study to become a nurse, to work in the hospital and help people there, which didn't turn out really well for me because it was not the right environment to help people. And that led me to then explore the art side more, art and healing. And we all know that art has a therapeutic and healing effect when we make art or when we look at art, when we receive art through our senses. Both forms have some healing effects on us. So I started to explore that side in the US. So I moved from Germany to the US after I found out that becoming a nurse was not my divine plan in this life. So in the US, I then studied photography and also got into the Native American energy healing.
Oh, yes. When I was feeling into the move that you made to go to America, it felt like many activations occurred for you in America. It was really, but also all these synchronicities and how your life plan was sort of unfolding for you. So you went to study photography, so you were beginning to play with the idea of how we were working today, but it was in its infancy then. So you were starting to play with imagery and looking into frequencies and interpreting those in different ways. But you also, I was reading that you made this connection and you studied with Alex Gray, who is also a visionary, and that this was very profound for you. And I can imagine, because then in a way it was opening up a way for you to see how you would be able to work in your own way. So I wonder if you can talk about what awakenings came during that time, maybe studying Alex Gray and the photography.
Yes. So very similar to the energy art that you channel and create. I feel we share this connection. We, as artists, we find ways to make the invisible become known, to be seen. And energy itself is usually something that with our day-to-day eyes we don't see. We have to go within and then see it from within or feel it. And so anyways, when I started to study photography, I had this big question. Since, for many years I had this spiritual background and I knew photography had some gift, like all art has, to help and to heal people. And my big question was, in regards with photography, is how can I use the photographic camera to make energy become visible? So how could I photograph energy or a prayer and make it known to us with our normal 3D vision? And so I started to do a lot of experimentation with the camera. I did a lot of abstract photography. Abstraction because, well, we know that, for example, when we look at this crystal here, we can see, oh, it's a beautiful shape, it has a little bit of purple in there, and etc., etc. But we also know that this is a physical form, and there's much more when we go into the energy form. There's much more, and abstraction is basically a way to go beyond the physical form. We go to the pure essence, we go to the light and color information, which is energy. And so abstract photography is not gonna show us like, oh, here's a flower, here's a tree. It shows us the essence, the color and light information of that object, or that, can be even a person. And so I then found the inspiration in one of my experiments, when we communicate with the divine, some inspiration will come. And I guess it was meant to be that then I combined the Native American tradition, making the medicine wheel, with photography. And I kind of made my own style. So I fused a little bit the medicine wheel, mixed it a little bit with the mandala of Buddhist traditions. And I would then create this kind of flower mandala with crystals and objects from nature. I even use some, like sacred objects and some not so sacred, or we would believe not so sacred, like recyclable materials, so everything that can be used and repurposed, I used for making my first mandalas. And I then would photograph those in my abstract style to capture the energy of the medicine wheel, the energy of the flower mandala. And then I arrived at what we see today in my scarves, which, we have one behind me here. That is the Archangel Michael scarf. So once I build the flower mandala, I photograph it to record the energy, and I arrive at a soul image, an image that contains the vibrational essence of that flower mandala, of that. It's a way of making art to communicate with spirit. And the flower mandala, the medicine wheel, when it's complete, it opens an energy vortex where energy actually flows through and people can feel that and receive it. And so there are then very specific medicine wheels and flower mandalas that I make for each and one of those scarves that I create, to channel a very specific energy, which then gets captured, transferred, made visible, and then imprinted on the scarf, so we can then receive and wear the energies and the blessings and walk around maybe with a little bit more light around us. And so that's in a nutshell how it unfolded. There were many, of course, steps along the way with Alex Gray and Louise Hay, who I met after that. But with Alex Gray, it was very early, so I was still experimenting, and he was my inspiration. Like when we look at his art, for those of you who don't know Alex Gray, he is a visionary painter who paints his inner visions of us human beings in our energetic states. So you can see all the meridians, all the chakra energies in his paintings of our various states of birth, of making love, of death. And so I thought, oh, you can paint and make energy visible. So I want to do that same thing with photography. And then I, also went to one of his weekend workshops, and we got to meet and connect, and it was very inspiring to be in the space with him. And that was definitely a profound moment, because it was also where we had a lot of time together to just be. It was 15 years ago, maybe. Over 10 years ago. So there was full moon, and we had a fire outside, lots of dancing and drumming, and people did a lot of art there, and it was a very, very important time in my artistic career.
Yes. And you mentioned Louise Hay as well. And this story is so beautiful, how you came to meet her, because it's like a masterclass in our creator abilities to create the realities that we want to experience. And so I don't know if you'd be happy to share a little bit about how you came across Louise Hay with us.
Yes, I think we all had, including you, many experiences of manifesting things or situations, people coming to our life. And, maybe that's how we got to meet as well, through us just shining from our heart into the space and, becoming available to be found. And for us, I guess Instagram was the way of connecting. And that's what I love about technology. So we can use it to connect, to send out energy, share, and receive. And so a few years back, before I started my scarves, I worked on a book project with a dear friend. And so we combined his poetry with my sacred imagery of flowers. I was big into flowers at that time. And so the inspiration came from my mother, that like, oh, if you have this book, maybe you could see if you can get in touch with Louise Hay and introduce your book to her. And for those of you who don't know Louise Hay, she was one of the biggest spiritual authors and publishers in the world. Now she's an angel in heaven. I think we met when she was 84 or 3, something like that. So yeah, I thought, okay, well, I have this beautiful book and I know how energy works. And Louis' main teaching is that every thought or word we speak or think creates our future. So what we say, what we think will greatly influence our future. That's her core teaching. And I thought, okay, let's apply it. Let's apply this and see if I could meet Louise Hay. And I started to, send out my intentions and my prayers every day. I think I started around a Monday, and I was just like, dear universe, I really like to meet Louise Hay. I don't know when, I don't know how, but please make it happen. And I just kept repeating this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it felt great. It's like, oh, I can just send out my intention and I don't have to know how or when. I know if it's meant to be, the universe will arrange. And around Friday, I felt a new energy coming, which said, okay, you made your intentions clear. Now it's time for you to move a little bit more into action, not just, sit and send it out. Energetically move into a greater action. And so I went on the internet and I looked for Louise Hay. Where does she live? And is there any email I could find to contact her? And funnily enough, well, she is living in San Diego. That's kind of known, I guess, from Wikipedia. And but of course, no email address, no telephone number is on the internet. However, there was one of these funny looking websites that said, oh, if you pay us $6.99, we'll give you her email address. And I was like, oh, that should be a scam. Just, take my credit card number and I don't know. Well, I thought, okay, well, it's just like $6.99 and I can still cancel my credit card. Maybe I should just do it and see what happens. So trust came in,
Yes.
An opportunity presented itself. The ego mind was like finding a lot of excuses why not to do it. But I just went for it and had to trust, okay. And that I did. And there was then suddenly an unofficial looking email. I was like, oh, what do I do now? Such a surprise. Yeah, and then I just, it's really important, I felt at that moment, to connect with the right energy. So I know a lot of people have beautiful intentions and they are creators and they wish to share their art from their heart with the whole world. But maybe it's not just timing yet for them. Maybe there are a few more steps along the way. But including myself, we all sometimes are a little impatient. So we already know where we want to be, but there are a few steps that we just want to skip, but they are important steps to do. So for me, I felt it was really important not to just email her and say, hey, I have a book, please meet me. I want to do this with you. The first intention actually was just to meet her from a place of the heart. And so the email said, hey, my partner and I were coming to San Diego on this and this day. And we have dinner here at this place. Would you like to join us? If you don't have time, maybe you have time for a drink. I just want to connect from the heart with you. Before I send that email, that's an important part of the whole energy of manifesting. I had to trust again. So I did book my flights in advance of that email. I did reserve that restaurant, a table for 3, in advance. And I did look, for like, oh, what's the best restaurant in San Diego I can find? And I booked that and then sent the email. It was Sunday evening, sent out the email. Monday morning, I got a reply from Louise. Hey, it's like, oh, such a surprise and lovely email from you. Thank you very much. I don't have time to join you for dinner. The restaurant you chose is just around the corner from my apartment. It's my favorite place to go. How about you join me at my house for 30 minutes before you go to dinner? I was like, wow, okay, of course. And so we went to San Diego and got her some flowers, and then, went up to her place, and it was like a private elevator up to the penthouse, and there's beautiful big Buddhas standing on the entrance gate with incense burning, and the door opens. And I never forget this moment. She was so casual in her bright pink magenta yoga clothing, all pink lipstick, very, very lovely, welcoming lady. And yeah, it was just really easy to talk to her. I was really nervous, to be honest. in her excitement.
Yes.
And I totally forgot to talk about my book. So, but it wasn't important, What was important was actually what unfolded after that, the inspiration and guidance from her about my scarves. We talked about a little bit about to make spiritual energy visible, but that's just one step to make it visible. But then we have to find a way to share it with other people. And so Louise Hay was one of the inspirations and guardians in helping me to move to the next step of then taking that spiritual energy photo and printing it on fabric to make the energy accessible to as many people as possible. We can print the photo and hang it on our wall and receive energy that way, but the photos printed on fabric, the energy on fabric, is much more interactive and versatile, and it can travel around with us to work, or we can go to some temple or church maybe too, and just sit there with our high energy scarf, and nobody will know. It will just look beautiful. but we receive the good energy, we receive an upliftment from these, variable blessings that I created.
I wanted to share with you as well, when I moved with my family here to Singapore, and started to make connections with my soul family here, with my light family here. So I was meeting new people, and absolutely every person came and showed me your scarves. And there were many things that I remember about that experience. Many of them, one of my friends, she's Yu Chan, and she works with singing bowls, and she's worked with you, I think, on a number of workshops. And she has a number of your beautiful scarves. And she came and she insisted that I put one on. And I was just, there were many things, because everybody there in that gathering was wearing different scarves from you. Some were the beautiful yellows, others were sort of the darker blues with these cosmic frequencies within them. And they were all slightly different, but it was the reverence that they were used with, and what I was seeing, how people were working with them, and how they were feeling when they were putting them on. And it was very, very special and very powerful for me to see that, because as you're saying, there are many who sort of create images, and we can appreciate the image. But there's something very special and sacred about being able to wear it and seeing how everybody transformed when they were wearing it. It was like assisting them to connect with their own master self, with their own ascended self, and it made them feel very special, and it was a very sacred experience. They would, I saw so many of them holding these scarves like treasures and placing them on. Oh, and you could just see them light up. They loved the whole experience. And also the textures of them, they're so soft as well. And it feels you've created something that assists people to connect with their sacredness inside, and to make that journey of when we go inside even more special. It's like, oh, it's really exciting. I can't wait to go and meditate and take my scarf with me. So it's a new, not new, I mean, it's an ancient experience that you're bringing through to the new today for people to remember something that's very ancient about us and at the true nature of who we are. So I love that. I love looking at your scarves too, and all these different frequencies. And I'm relishing taking my time, because I'm noticing there's 1 month there'll be a certain frequency that I'm really going towards, and then it changes, there's another and another, and you keep creating these beautiful creations continually, so it just keeps expanding and evolving. I love also, I wanted to ask you about these different frequencies. You have these goddess frequencies, you have Tara, you have there's just so many. You have unicorn frequencies in one piece. There's this amazing stargazer scarf as well that is just takes you straight away into the cosmos. They're all so different, and you have an Atlantean scarf as well. And when I look at your website and the imagery that you use, you have sort of a temple feeling to a lot of the images where people are wearing these scarves. And so it's again taking us back somewhere in our memory to a place that something remembers something. There's a deeper connection there. They're very sort of Atlantean temples. They're very etheric temples as well. So I just wanted to ask you about these varying frequencies?
Yes, it all started with 7 different energies, 2014. So I was working with Divine Mother energy, I was working with the Tree of Life energy, Divine Light energy, and the Guardian, Sacred Guardian energy. So there were like 7 different energies and 7 different places of power, like power spots, sacred places on earth, except the Divine Light one. That's a universal energy from the universe. So yeah, the inspiration for working with all these energies often came from these sacred places from around the world, from all my travels. So, for example, going to Hawaii, the big island, I went to the Kilauea Iki crater, where you can walk over the crater floor, and there's some cracks where the steam is even coming out. And it just served as the inspiration for a beautiful bright red warm colored scarf that I call Sacred Guardian, connecting to energy of Gaia, the inner flame. When we're kind of walking on her outer layer, but within is this amazing glowing red warm guardian energy, which of course is also mother energy. But in terms, the inspiration was to connect more with the guardian energy, the protective energy, which is also found in the frequency of the color red. So many of my creations kind of unfolded from the inspirations and energies that I picked up from my travels with this body. And then also travels within, beyond the physical body. So, for example, the Atlantean scars, there are 6, I think. And so the inspiration for the Atlantean scars, as you said, we are bringing the sacredness back to this moment, because as we all feel probably some degree in our lives that, looking at humanity in our personal lives, we have waves of like being very connected to our inner light and our sacredness and our joy and oneness. And then we have also moments where we're not so much in alignment with that. And overall, we maybe can agree that, humanity is moving hopefully to the right direction. But we have lost a lot of this, quote unquote, of the sacred arts, of the profound connection and oneness that has been so part of our lifestyle way, way, way back. And so working with the Atlantean energies, it was clear that they wanted to be reborn. They wanted to be reshared in this wearable physical way of a scarf. And so the idea was to not just introduce these different energies of Atlantis, for example, the light of Atlantis, or the joy of the dolphins of Atlantis, or the pyramids, but also reintroduce the colors, because the Atlanteans worked with color healing and of course with energy in all forms, but especially I feel like the colors wanted to be reintroduced also as a form of healing. And that was the Atlantean collection. After that, we moved to a few of the goddesses like Green Tara you mentioned, or Mother Mary. And so these were all very profound, more individual creations that then came together as a group, making a goddess group. And I did travel to some of those places. For example, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, from the
We love that scarf. Yes, the pink.
Greek pantheon.
Yes.
I went to Greece and collected some samples. I often collect some little rock or a little something from nature and some water, if I can find water from a sacred place, to bring that physical sample, that energy with me back home, and then use that to connect and create with that energy then from that space to make the scarf become alive. So for the goddess Aphrodite, I went to Greece, and for Mother Mary, I did actually have some water from the sacred city Lourdes.
Yes.
Not sure how to pronounce it. It's the place where they have a beautiful Mother Mary church, and they have a sacred well where the water comes out of the mountain. And someone had a very profound experience there of receiving healing from Mother Mary, and then it became a place of pilgrimage for people to go to receive healing energy. The water from that sacred well was actually picked up by my granddad many years ago, and so I brought in like my family into these projects as well. So friends and family, they often contribute, and yeah, that's part of the magic that later unfolded, as well as I went into collaborating with other artists such as Yantara Giro or Birkan Torre to create a collaborative scarf collection. The scarf behind me, for example, is part of the Ascension collection, created, channeled, and designed with Birkan Torre, who is, he's very famous in Europe. He had a TV show about angels in Sweden, and so he was really amazing to connect with, such a soul brother. When you moved to Singapore, you mentioned you met people there who became your soul family, and they probably inspired you with your work as well. And so with me, often I received these inspirations from other people as well. And yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And Birkan looks like a little angel as well, with his yellow hair as well. He has that frequency. You mentioned the Mother Mary, and it made me think about your recent Lemurian journey that you were offering. And I wanted to ask you, because the Atlantean frequencies have been so prominent with your scarves, the Lemurian frequencies, how you interpret those, and how, what the subtle differences are, maybe, if you feel there are any.
Yeah. So Atlantis, we all know the story of the rise and fall of Atlantis, I assume. If not, you can Google that. But Atlantis, the energy that I wanted to connect with was, the golden age, when it was the best frequency available. Comparing that energy with the Lemurian energy, which was before Atlantis, it was predating. So, time is sometimes a little funny because it's not linear, right? So, but Lemurian energy, working with it, and there will be some scarves coming too sometime.
Maybe that's what I'm waiting Oh,
I think maybe you already tuned into it.
yes.
So, the Lemurian energy compared to Atlantean energy it's more gentle, if that makes sense. The Atlantean is a bit more, well, they had more technology, obviously. They had, lots of things they built and spaceships and all these things. Yes, Lemurians too. However, it was more from the workshop that we channeled and what we received during that time. It was much more nature-based and crystalline. And it's difficult to put energy into words sometimes, but if we would, maybe the words like these would, come close to describe Atlantean and Lemurian energy. I think Atlantean is a little bit more about activation, and Lemurian is more about oneness.
Yes.
So just to compare these a little bit in this way. So Atlantean energy, we can tap in to activate certain parts of our inner selves. And Lemurian energy is all, I feel, about the inner harmony with ourselves and the nature around us, with the target of, receiving the experience of oneness.
Yes. And for me, over the past few months, I work with Andara crystals, and they share information with me, and I have many sort of Lemurian frequency pieces that I love and I resonate with deeply. And one piece was sharing, which you mentioned in your workshop, about the connection with Mother Mary, the Divine Mother. And I'd not realized this about Lemuria, that level, her level of consciousness, was pivotal in the creation of the whole experience of Lemuria. And so when that opened up for me to feel and see, it was it was like, it was a new revelation for me. And yet inside I knew it was true, and it felt like truth. So, but you were mentioning her connection with Lemuria in your workshop too, and so that was nice to hear for me, because it was confirmation. Oh, yes, I can feel it. It's truth,
It's all connected, and I feel the work we both do is, we offer workshops and art and a lot of beautiful things. And what's the purpose of it all? I feel, one is, of course, we create to make the world a more beautiful place, yet we open a platform for people to experience something by themselves. And that is really important. You as the viewer, listener to this interview, you are looking for experience something by yourself. And so next time you come across some sacred art, I encourage you to tune in, maybe take a deep breath, and take a moment to just be in the sacred moment with the work, whatever it might be. It could be also some place in nature, and then connect within and find some experience, find some way to connect. And this is something we really are called more and more to do, because we are in this global shift of transformation together. And we can create things, we can use technology maybe to help us, but it has to come from within, it has to come from the heart, because we all have, there are things that are helpful, other things that are kind of destroying our Mother Earth. So, we want to create more from the heart, and we can all do this. We don't have to be an artist. We can do this by our inner creativity, by just tuning in and receiving, and then sharing and sending that energy out. So when we raise our own vibration by doing this, we then walk maybe next to our friend or to our family, and we share that good energy with other people. They may not even know, but they still receive it. And so, yeah, I feel this is the key about your art, my art, that, we play a part in this global shift of consciousness.
That's so beautiful, Donny. To finish, could you share with us the experience of living in Japan for you? It feels like that it's been such a supportive place for you to be, especially when you were beginning to solidify your work, making those initial connections, building the light work that you were doing with your scarves, and finding like-minded and open-hearted connections and people who gravitated naturally to you because they could feel what you were offering. And so it just feels like it was, because we're all placed in different places around the planet and it's all divine. And I can't imagine a place that's more divine for you at this time than Japan.
Yeah, I do think so too. I mean, looking back, it's always more clear when we look at our journeys, why we came to different places. So Japan has been really the best place for me to expand and to grow and to receive love and feedback about my art. Partially because the mentality of people is different in different places. How they appreciate things is very different. Like Germany, for example, we are very functional. Aesthetic and beauty and art, well, it needs to have a function to give us something. And so that's a very different. Here in Japan, people appreciate, I think, beauty on a different level, and nature, and it doesn't have to have a function. It's just beautiful, and it gives you, a good feeling. That's all they need to appreciate and to feel happy. So my scars, they have been really, really loved very well here in Japan because of this, more etheric qualities, more about raising your own vibration and feeling the oneness within. And so it was a very, very good place for me to start out, because I think if I started out in Germany, it would have been a different response, maybe a little bit more struggle. And so I don't want to say struggle, but it's a different energy. So still had to invest a lot of time and energy and love. But here in Asia, and you're in Singapore, I think, how about in Singapore? It's a little bit more westernized, of course, I assume, like Japan itself, but
Yes.
There's still some elements that are Asian and not European.
Absolutely. I also found I've had many years of being in hermit mode, where I was called to just go within and be alone for a very, very long time. And so coming to Singapore felt like Christmas, because all of a sudden I was making connections with like-minded people. And I was thinking, oh, is it Singapore? But then it was, no, it's just the right time. It's just, you're ready for connecting with soul family. And it's that frequency as well. And because there are these frequencies, these high frequencies, and soul family everywhere, but it takes, as you mentioned, for us to be able to reach that frequency from within ourselves first. Yes, it's been, Singapore is a really exciting mixture of frequencies, and it feels like there's a little bit of everything on offer that you can experience if you wish, you know. But it's going to always hold a very sacred place in my heart because of these special connections that I've made with other souls after feeling alone, but not in a, I feel very sorry for myself because it's just a necessary part of the journey. We are called to go within and to solidify our own frequencies first, to be able to hold that frequency. In these times, it's part of our roles, I feel. But I wanted to ask you as well, one last question, Donnie. Have you ever created a scarf for yourself? And if you have, those frequencies that came through for you?
Yes, I have. And so I've actually developed a beautiful process that I call the soul image ceremony, in which I help other people to build their own flower mandalas based on their crystals, their sacred objects, even their singing bowls, photos of family, etc. All of our sacred and personal objects share an energy link with our inner light. So, when I look at this crystal, I know who gave it to me. I can feel the connection. I know what it means and what it represents for me. Well, for you as the viewer, maybe you just say, oh, it's beautiful, but you don't have that personal connection. So that personal connection is the energy link between the physical and our inner light. And we arrange all these personal objects, then build the flower mandala, and I photograph it, record the energy, and then that's transferred then into the scarf as a soul image. And so I created, that for myself a few years ago. And yeah, I think it's very obvious, but maybe I have to actually think about it. But maybe for other people who look at the body of my work and other workshops that I do and the way I do things, it's all about love. It's all about love. And so I guess Lemurian energy would be very, very synchronistic, very in alignment with me from, a place from within. Pleiadian energy, for sure. I have a very strong energy connection there. Yeah, it's all about love, divine mother energy. So, which, maybe it's a nice way to send you all out into your own life. My last sharing with you is a reminder which has served me really well through all my steps from Germany to US to Japan, to meeting different people and manifesting different things. The key recipe, basically, which I recommend you all to, maybe get into or continue, is to tune in with your heart and follow that inner voice of your heart. It has been my compass throughout these years and served me really well. So, the voice of your heart is basically what feels right in the moment for you. If you can't actually hear the voice, for me, it's more about what feels right in the moment. And we all, have more room, opportunities for us to figure out what is best for my future self. What kind of relationships do I want to have? What kind of job? What kind of living environment? Tune in with that and see what resonates with you from within. And then have a little faith and make a step. Only a little baby step each day is already good enough. I don't recommend quitting your job today. I don't recommend that at all. I think it's probably more smart to make make a little gradual transition if you are planning to transition from one place to another. Make it more comfortable for everyone. So yeah, follow your heart, believe in your dreams.
Oh, Donny, that's such a beautiful way to close our conversation today. Thank you so much. You are
Thank you.
such a beautiful light, and I'm so glad that we were able to make this connection.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And may we all continue to be sacred mirrors for our light reflecting out everywhere. Thank you very much.